Hey guys, it's Matt Hanham here and welcome to the Amplify Your Business podcast. Anyway, this is episode, I think, 17 of the Amplify Your Business podcast. I probably just said that in my intro, but it doesn't matter. I'm here today with Paul Ramondo.
What's up?
Bro, you're on my list, man. When I first podcast, Paul Ramondo was probably like the first 10 people I wrote down. I was like, gonna have this guy. You got great energy, man. I've just been looking forward to this one. So
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here.
Great to be here.
Number 17.
I got here on time as well.
Got here on time?
Sent you a little Instagram message like might be late, and then I rocked up 5:30 in the dot. It was good.
I love how you travel. I mean, we are filming this.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
How did you travel?
I got here on my booster board. The stairs are there as well. No, I'm a booster board. It's my favorite thing.
That's good.
Like literally like the most emotional utility that I've ever, like talking like an economist, but most emotional utility that I've ever got out of purchasing anything ever.
Most emotional utility.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
good.
A high emotional return on investment with that purchase. I've done over 1,000 kilometers on it, so it's
that's pretty serious. I would guess that a lot of them haven't done many Ks. Like
well, the thing is, I haven't really ridden it much here in Perth because I mean I live a 2-minute walk from my office.
Yeah.
Which is very much on purpose. Do you want to minimize that time of the commute?
Yeah.
But when I've taken this traveling with me all the time, which is a great way to explore places. And like when I was living in New York last year, the best way to get around the city.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What kind of distance is it? What does it cover? Like what kind of distance?
So the battery I've gotten there at the moment is like a standard range battery.
Yeah.
And I think I get about, depending on it really depends on how much you want to smash the speed.
Yeah.
So I can get up to about 32 kilometers-ish an hour.
Yeah.
But if I'm going that fast, you'd sacrifice your speed. So if it's on eco mode, I get about 8-ish Ks.
It's pretty good, really.
Got extended range battery shipping, which should be here at the end of the month.
Sick.
And I'll be able to escape from Subiaco to Hillary's on one charge.
Oh,
which would be sick.
That'd be nice, mate. There's a vlog coming up, obviously.
There is definitely a vlog coming up.
I love it. Anyway, we haven't even got to that. Like, so who are you, Paul?
And who am I?
What do you do? Why are you here?
I am a extremely energetic, I guess, passionate digital marketer. I love what I do. I love all things tech. I love all things digital. I love creating content, and I love helping people just in the digital space and just getting them excited about their business. And yeah,
awesome.
That's kind of what I do.
You are, mate. Like, definitely so much energy. Like when I've met you, when I see you online, you're always just like pumping with energy. I mean, it might have something to do with this monster energy, but maybe not.
I really want to drink some. I'm like, I feel like it's 5:30 at the moment. Like I've finished work by now, but I'm ready to go.
Well, actually, I feel bad now because I'm thinking, look, I gave you a small gift of a monster.
No, I really, very thoughtful. I appreciate it.
But I don't think I've given any other podcast guests a gift before.
Well, look, I mean, reading between the lines, I'm obviously a favorite. So, no.
Well, I usually have single malt lying around.
Oh, my man, look at you, so thoughtful.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. Look, we'll leave it for 6 a.m. when you get working on the next day, next couple of days. But so digital marketer, content creator. But I guess where did it all start? So
where did it start? When I was in high school, I was always into digital and tech and stuff, and was a bit of a nerd in high school. I was a massive nerd in high school. And I used to, if I go all the way back, not many people know this, but I used to, back when it was called Flash, I used to animate stick figures killing each other when I was like 13, 14, 15. And I used to, there's a website called stickdeath.com. It used to be all over newgrounds.com and stuff. This is like Web 1.0.
Yeah, I remember.
Meta stuff, right? And I was just really into the whole creative process. And I think if I go all the way back, that's kind of where like the creative side of things happened. I was always into digital and tech in high school, and then did my TE and was like, I want to, be a responsible, successful adult in my
as we're told to be,
and went to university and got a fancy piece of paper, and before pretty much up until I think the final semester of my degree, I was like, I'm going to become an accountant.
Yeah.
Part of my degree is in accounting. So 6-figure salary, about 26, be sick, be just balling. That was my idea of like success, right? Yeah. Money. And the only problem with that was I went to the States and I studied there for about a year, did an exchange, and that was amazing. And I had the only part of my degree left when I came back was my accounting degree, because I wasn't allowed to do it over there if I wanted to become a chartered accountant.
What was the other half? What did you do?
So I did what did I do? I did a Bachelor of Commerce at UW and did a double major in financial accounting and marketing, and a double minor in business law and economics. Yeah. So I was like setting myself up for a nice
going
little...
for serious, serious cred.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, let's...
Look at me, mum.
Yeah, like make mum and dad proud. And, like, honestly, back then, that's what I thought I wanted to do.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed economics and accounting in high school, like really enjoyed it. With accounting, I was like, I can make the stuff balance. And it's like the trial balance equals, I can't even remember how to balance a balance sheet. It's been so long. But
you could.
I probably could if I had to. But yeah, I was just like, it's so cool. I like how it all connects and makes sense. And then I finished my degree, or final semester of my degree, after being on exchange, and kind of realized that I just fucking hated accounting and didn't want to become an accountant. And at that point in time as well, I'd also so I was a year behind variable to all of my friends, because I was enjoying uni so much that I decided to pick up an extra degree, because I was like, I don't want uni to ever end. Like, I want this fun time to last forever.
The perennial student.
Yeah, straight up, man. So I picked up an economics degree. That's why I did that. I know exactly why I did that. I just wanted the good times to roll, right? I was having a great time at uni.
Fair enough.
And then was like, I just want to go out of uni, and turn that degree into a minor, which was nice. Got to save that. But anyway, I digress. You're going to have to pull me back so I go off on too many tangents. But basically,
tangents are good.
Basically, I didn't want to become an accountant, and I had all my friends that were already, acccountants and working for, pretty prestigious firms, and just absolutely hating their lives. And I was like, I already hate this, and I'm at uni. I don't want to do that.
I did that too, right?
Did ya?
I'm a chartered accountant.
There you go.
I started doing accounting marketing. I did 1 unit of marketing. I was like, I can figure this shit out later.
Yeah.
So then, I'll do accounting. It seemed much harder. Somehow just fell into it. I was in insolvency. The only reason I even got through, if I was doing tax, I don't think I would have even made it. But insolvency, I was like 19 years old, all of a sudden running 2 or 3 businesses for people, figuring out these problems. And I was like, okay, this was kind of good for my ego for a few years. I learned a lot. But then I was like, this was never my choice. Like, it would clearly, and you got to that stage as well. You're like, you got there earlier. I fell into, I was looking for a part-time job. Somehow I ended up in a firm, and all of a sudden I was running 3 businesses and going, wow, I'm earning some money or something. Oh, sort of.
Yeah.
Not. I think I would have earned more money at Macca's per hour.
Yeah.
But I was doing that.
And that's you trigger me, man. Like, when you go down the whole route of like, if you're starting on a 55 or so, salary a year, and they're paying for you become a CA and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But then you extrapolate and you work out what kind of money you're making per hour, and it's like
it was insane.
Below the poverty line.
Well, we did 7 days. You'd work 6 hardcore days, and your 7th day was the study. Well, that's how it worked. But anyway, so you got there early, right? So how do you pivot? Like, what did you do there?
So I was really lucky. Like, going on exchange was probably like the biggest. So I studied in the States. It's probably the best year of my life I spent away.
Whereabouts in the States?
I went to the University of Vermont.
Okay.
So Burlington, Vermont, which is pretty much like you put a pin through, or a pole through the earth, through Perth, and it comes out in Maine, which is the state next to Vermont, or Vermont. And yeah, I had never seen snow before, and I basically I was there for about a year and had 8 months worth of snow, which was hectic. I'd never seen snow. It was just really cold. Yeah. But it was the best time. And that experience kind of, I guess equipped me to realize that there's more to life than balancing balance sheets and trial balances and all that kind of stuff. So around that time when I finished uni, I was jobless, right? I didn't do any internships. I did nothing. Like, because I was like, here for a good time. And then I was always thought I was going to become an accountant. I was like, I'll figure it out when I get back home from exchange. And then I finished my degree, and luckily I did marketing, which I had a real passion for. Yeah. Never thought I'd do it professionally, but I just really did it because I enjoyed it. It was the only part of the degree. I enjoyed my business law, but it was the only part of my degree that I really enjoyed. And then I found myself working. I was unemployable, essentially. You drop 30, 40K in a degree. You
had too many degrees. Like, you had too many angles, because they can only see a straight line,
That's
right?
it.
You have to actually almost let go of some of the other, like, you can't have 7 core interests, or 7 areas that you're excelling at.
Yeah.
You've got to show them 1 or 2 and show this is my path to be like you.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what they want to say.
100%. And I also had 0 experience.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lie. I had experience in marketing, so actually was part of an event management company back in my emo music days. That's kind of how I got to start in social media marketing. So I used to do marketing for a small events company, doing shows over at HQ just down the road, using MySpace to promote gigs, because it was like you either take out a $500 or $300, $500 ad in Express magazine back in the day, or you can generate a lot of traction on MySpace for free and actually get people the return on investment was always going to be positive because it's just your time. That's kind of how I got into social. And yeah, basically spent the 7 months after I finished my degree working 4 odd jobs. I worked at a bakery for 10 years up until I started my career. I was DJing, I was doing events, I was working at selling phones, just anything I could get my hands on just to kind of get by and pay off, have money to live and start paying off my degree.
Because you're not a sit-still kind of guy. I assume you weren't even then, right? So
yeah, no,
you got
to do something, right? And then in between all of that, I was applying for jobs, and just rejection after rejection after rejection, which I look back on now, I'm like, it was just fucking, gave me my stripes.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? I was talking to a guy just an hour or two ago. He was he'd come in, he's struggling. What do I do? A bit of purpose, and I'm like, you don't get it, but like you'll look back at exactly where you're sitting right now, thinking like, well, laughing at it, but be thinking about that was just that valley to get back to that peak, and without that, it's not interesting, right? You've got to go through those. You got to get some stripes. I look at that when I was in insolvency. Like we got brutalized in there for 4 or 5 years, but it was probably the best experience and the best learning curve I've ever had.
100%.
You don't get
it. It makes you humble as well, and I think it's a sweet kind of, I sickly romanticize with it, but when you put yourself through that kind of hardship and then you come out, you're like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, let's go. And you're better for it,
Yeah, it's a catch-22, isn't it? Like, because there's a bit of ego in that too.
Oh, 100%.
You're like, yeah, I did that and I braved that, and then you realize, well, did I have to and why? Like, there's some really good angles to it, but then, and I think there's some, like it's this sick. It's this sick line of this is exactly who you need to be.
Yeah.
And there's certain elements where you can walk that line and it really makes sense. And other times you're like, this is just batshit crazy. What am I doing? Like 100%. This does not make any sense to me up in my head. But so what there? Oh, sorry, you go.
No. I was just gonna say, I think with the ego thing as well, I think it's a really fine line of I don't think ego is inherently a bad thing. I think there's a really good book that one of my favorite books by Ryan Holiday called Ego is the Enemy. Amazing book. Yep. I don't inherently think ego is a bad thing, but I just think it's like your perception of your own ego. Yep. That's the issue, right? So I think, especially when I was starting my career, I think it was a balance of like, you're humbled, but then you're also kind of need to have that ego or that protection or that self-efficacy, I think, is probably the better word, to kind of get you through it and persevere. Otherwise, you can throw the towel in. You
need to be balanced, man. That's the thing. You can't be both ways. And that's like, so you do need equal parts ego and humility. And, we hear a lot of people talk about this stuff, but the more and more, I see more people and I sort of study more people, and it makes so much more sense. And you do see super confident people then just have that humility level, which is just, it makes so much sense because you realize when you're out of balance, and that's when things aren't going right for you. 100%. Whether it's, you're too cocky and you're getting out there and your head's just like exploding, or if you're just like crumbling away into a hole, you get nothing done. Yeah. You've got to have some ego and you've got to believe in yourself and push on. So what next?
So I had a sliding doors moment. So I was unemployed not unemployed, but I was working full-time hours, around 40, 42 hours a week, doing all the odd jobs. And I'd been applying a rejection after rejection after rejection. And then I had 2 promising offers. One was at a social media startup agency, and I'd already had 2 interviews for them. And another was at Automotive Holdings Group, being a marketing coordinator for selling cars, essentially. And, one was paying $8,000. The Automotive Holdings Group was paying $8,000 more than the other job. And I wanted the social media job. And then, I was, I think it's, like I said, 6 or 7 months that I was without a job. And literally on the same Friday, like within an hour, literally sliding doors moment, I was selling phones. I remember I was selling phones in Warwick. I remember walking outside because they knew I was trying to get a career job. I walked, taking phone calls. One phone call, bang, from the AHG offering me the job, and had a bit of nice little frills to it as well, and more money. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll get back to you by the end of the day. I had to decide that day, or it was going to someone else. And then an hour later, I had the phone call from the social media agency, which was $8,000 less and just no benefits, no nothing. But it was what I wanted to do, and I had to decide that day. And it was like, after that amount of time, just like waiting. And then all in one day on a lunch break, I had to make a decision.
Spoiled for choice.
That's it, mate. That's it. We are so burdened by choice. So I basically just went with, what am I going to enjoy more? Yeah. Right. And, if I wanted the money, or if I wanted, if I wanted the money, I would have been doing accounting. I wouldn't have been working all these odd jobs. And that's what my passion was in. And I always think back to that moment because I'm like, where would I be if I didn't take the I'm sure I probably would have ended up back in the same path, but I'm glad that I went the route that I did.
Yeah.
So the lesson that I learned there was just always just go with what makes you happy and what you're going to get the most emotional return on investment from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I mean, fast forward from there. I mean, I think you dipped in and out of it, but if you basically worked in social media for a little while, and then eventually you started your own shop.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you go? How did you start? Like, what was the tipping point that made you basically jump ship from being employed and moving into self-employment?
So kind of a very similar narrative to how I got it started initially. I worked in the agency world. I worked, on client side and then mainly agency side. And dabbled my toes in both waters.
Yep.
I had a lot of experience, and I was getting really great results with my clients. And I had the experience, I had the runs on the board, and it was kind of like, do I stay in Perth? Do I move to Melbourne? And the only way I was going to move to Melbourne was I wanted to start working with bigger brands and build my career portfolio and that kind of thing, right? And there's not really much going on in Perth, so I was like, well, I need to get a job offer from Melbourne. I'll fly over there to do the interviews. I don't care what I have to do. I'll make it happen. And applied for job after job after job again and again and again, and rejection. And thing is, like, I knew the jobs, and this is kind of that whole ego, humility thing. With the internet being so transparent, like, I could literally see the work of, and especially in our industry, I could literally see the work of the people that had my position, or the position I was going for. Yeah. And I knew that I was overqualified and better, I guess, which was really, really painful, because it's just like, I'm not even getting emails back. This is shit. Like, this is really frustrating. So that was there was about another 8 months of that. I turned 25 in 2015, and I still remember the day. This is about time I was trying to move on with my career, and the January 1st or January 2nd, I was on holiday over East, and I'm 25. Was 25 in 2015. Sorry. And my year correlates with the 5 with the 5, right? 1st or 2nd of January 2015, I just lost my mind. I had quarter life crisis. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? This is shit. No job. I was applying for jobs left, right, and center. I wasn't happy. Wasn't fulfilled. Where am I going? Getting nothing back. No one's even answering my emails or phone calls. Like, don't even get me started about recruiters. And so
we go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we won't.
No,
we
let's
won't.
not.
But I mean, no disrespect to anyone in recruitment, but it just wasn't for me. And I went through four or so months more. It's actually a good story. I haven't talked about a story in ages. So I went through 4 or 5 more months of that, and probably 4 more months. And I reached out because I wanted to get a job at Facebook, right? And this is about a year, or would have been 2015. So 3 years after the IPO, and Facebook small business was just getting started in Australia. And I reached out to the head of small business, who's now a good friend of mine and a mentor of mine, Nick Bowditch. Yeah. And I sent him an email just on a whim, and I was like, hey man, my name's Paul. Look, I'd really love to give you a call, have 5 minutes of your time just to get your 2 cents of the best way to get started in Facebook or into a social, in that realm, I guess. And so I sent an email, wasn't expecting anything back. I was just like, you know what, at least I tried, right? And then, in my email signature, I used to have my mobile number. And literally 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from this random number, and it was Nick, and he gave me a call, and he was like, hey, Nick Bowditch here, and shout out Nick, what's up? And I think that's the phone call. When I look back on it, that's kind of where everything changed. We had a big chat, and he was like, mate, literally even on that phone call, he's like, why the fuck do you want to work for someone else? I've looked at your stuff, you obviously don't want to work for someone else. No, I want to work for Facebook or Instagram. Come on, bro, help me out. And so we organised to have beers. He was speaking at a conference 2 months later. We had beers, and that conversation, I was going into the frame of help get me a job at Facebook. Come on, help me out. And again, he was like, you don't want to work for Facebook. You want to do your own thing. I was like, no, fuck it. I don't want to do my own thing. I was like, oh, maybe. But then I was like, the reason I didn't want to do my own thing was fear. What if I fail? The
usual suspects.
The usual suspects, right? But he planted the seed. And that was also around the time that more and
That's
more...
cool. I didn't know that story.
Yeah. And he planted the seed, and he knows that, and I'm still, thanks again, Nick, eternally grateful to him for that. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of, all right, if I do start my own thing, because I had a small consulting business at that point in time, and I was like, if I do start my own thing, how am I going to do that? Right. Like, and then what do I need? Like, and then I was like, oh, I can't do this. It's too stressful. Like, yeah.
Once you get to that point, you're already in.
Yeah.
You just haven't figured out how you're going to do it yet.
Yeah. That's it. So
it's
then
changing your mind, right?
That's it. Right. And so I spoke to old man Ramondo. I love my dad, love my parents. They're the best. And
he said, go get a job.
no, dad, old man Ramondo, Nick. So dad was like, he said, I still remember it as well. It's probably two of the most powerful things. One was what the seed that Nick had planted. And then two was, my dad asked me, like, what's the worst thing that could happen to you if you start this, right? And I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, fuck, well, I've been living out of home for about 2 years or a year and a half at that point in time. And I was like, fuck, well, to be honest, Dad, the worst thing that would happen is asking you to fucking move back in, right? Like that was failure to me, like failure, right? Like, I don't want to move. I love my parents. Fuck, I don't want to live with them, right? Like, yeah. And he was like, so are you cool to ask us to move back in if all else fails? And I was like, well, could you let me move back in if I go through all my savings and my house fund and all that kind of stuff? Like, and if all else fails? He's like, of course. So what are you doing? And I was like, all right, I guess I'm starting a business.
So good.
Right? And it was just kind of that realization. And I mean, beyond that, if you talk less micro and more macro, like as an Australian citizen, like the worst thing that can happen to you, right? Like as an Australian citizen, if you fuck up so monumentally badly, like you just fuck up so badly, the worst thing that happens to you is you get paid by the government to live.
Dude.
Right? And then free healthcare. It's like Australia is amazing. And then when you put that, I mean, you'd eat shit and, it wouldn't be a very nice lifestyle or whatever. But, at the end of the day, like if that's the worst thing that can happen to you as an Australian citizen and you want to start a business.
It's not bad. Look, I spent 5 years in insolvency and I watched people go bankrupt. The only people that it really hurt were the people that let it get in their head.
Yep.
Everyone else, like most of the time, people weren't even angry at them. People were upset, they lost money, but they understood, they empathized. The tax man doesn't care. They just came in and had their cup of coffee and realized there was no money left and to move on. Like the ones that were literally molded into their business and they couldn't detach mentally, they ended up with a lot of health problems and other things. But no one, even in that situation, there was always someone that would help them. Yeah. There was always, it doesn't matter how big business, small business. I saw a lot of different blow-ups. There's always, the worst thing. We're in an amazing country, 100%. And only people that are really stuck, in really tough times have other issues typically, that they're trying to work through as well. So we're so lucky. It doesn't mean you have everything, but you certainly have a life, and you're not fighting for safety.
That's
often.
That's it. That's it. It's not like you're going to end up on the street. I mean, if that's the worst, doomsday worst case scenario. If all else fails, that's a really nice safety net, a luxurious safety net that many other people across the world are not afforded.
But if you've got a family unit, friends, people around you, there's always going to be a way.
That's it.
But we just think we take it like this is an enormous decision that literally becomes life and death. And it's so far from that. Yeah.
And then there's also the other, the psychological parts of it of what are my friends going to think of me if I fail or whatever. And then you've just got to remove that as well. It's just they're going to be, if they're your friends, they're going to be in your corner rooting for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The only person that really cares about you failing is you.
Awesome.
So just get over it.
So how do you start then? You've spoken to Nick, you've spoken to your dad. Systems go. I mean, I guess you're already consulting a little bit, so you sort of have the idea. You just need to scale it up, right? And figure out how to take it to the next level.
Yeah. So, I was really lucky. My old boss, the last boss that I ever had, Brendan. Shout out to Brendan. What's up? So I was the head of digital at his business, and just really honest. And I sat him down because literally, what I was about to do was start a competing business in the same locality as his business, right? So, we had a really, really great relationship. The story gets even better. So we had a really, really great relationship, and I'm all about honesty and transparency. So I sat him down the second that I decided that I was going to do this. I think it was I incorporated my company on the 24th of July, 2015, day before my birthday. But a month and a half earlier, when I was getting everything ready and stuff, I sat down with Brendan and I was like, hey bro, got to have a chat. This is what I'm planning on doing. I'm extending this, and I don't even know what the word is, but I'm not olive branch, but I'm just letting you know I'm being transparent because I understand that one, this is technically a breach of my employment contract. 2, I don't want to leave you high. I'm not going to take any of your clients, but I want to leave you high and dry.
Yeah.
And, you know, fuck your business over because he's done so much for me. I'm eternally grateful to him.
Yep.
And I want to make this transition process easy for all of us, but also I'm not going to not do what I want to do, you know, like it's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I trusted in the relationship and I trusted that he'd be supportive and, you know, he was. Fast forward. So like my last day was the 10th of September. Quit working full time for someone else properly on the 10th of September of 2015. And I started working full time the following week on my own business. And then a month later, Brendan and I moved in together. True story. We didn't know each other before he employed me. We just came really close at work. And so you can start a competing... I'm not saying this is kosher, but it goes to show if you can build, in my experience anyway, if you build really great relationships with people and you build trust and everything's okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The story does.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
That really is unusual. Because, I mean, but the thing is, you took the high road as well. You took the longer term approach. I mean, you see so many people just quickly cut and run in a situation. It's not even that they necessarily got bad values or a bad person, but they just think really short term. I need to do this. I'm not going to overly think about other people and other commitments. And it just, especially in a little town of Perth, you know, we're a tiny little place. You do one thing, you know, that sort of does burn someone or hurt someone. And it doesn't help. And, you know, I'm firmly of the view there's so much work out there, really. There's so much work. There's so many of, you know, us. We do much the same thing, probably in a lot of different ways, but we do similar things for similar types of clients. You know, we're talking to each other. There's so many other businesses out there doing a lot as well. I mean, we're a small business nation.
Yeah, that's
and
up.
You know, people that help small businesses, you know, get involved in it all. That we cross over everywhere.
That's
you talk about Nick Bowditch. Yep, I don't get Nick Bowditch. Like, and he's in the other side of Australia. So you just can't do things short term.
That's it.
And you just took the right approach, and then
I was full on ready.
He trusts you enough to live with you, right?
Well, yeah, straight up, and you know, like, and I wouldn't have lived with him if he was my boss, but you know, because we were really close friends.
Yeah.
You know, I just happened to work for him, and you know, once I stopped working for him, it was kind of like we both needed somewhere to live, so it just made sense, and it was awesome. So, and the other thing as well, when I walked into that meeting, like I'd fully decided, like, okay, this meeting's either going to go like one of two ways. One, it's going to go how I'm hoping it goes, which is how it went. Or two, I'm getting walked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And
Otherwise, you're gone now.
Yeah, I'm gone now. Like, I had a bit of money saved in the bank account. I was like, cool. It was like I'd already budgeted, like crisis, like, you know, worst case scenario budgeted for that that scenario. But at the end of the day, I was like, morally, this is the right thing to do. This is like what's in line with my ethics, my values. If he's not cool with it, that's totally fine. Like, it's all good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's his prerogative. But as long as for me, it's always like, as long as you can fall asleep at the end of the night knowing that you conducted yourself in line with like what you morally stand for.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So how long did you live together?
We lived together for a year and a bit. And then we both moved into our own places after that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Good story.
Good times.
Yeah. And so Ramondo Media was born.
Ramondo Media was born. And then so was my crazy 80+ hour work weeks grind for... I don't work that hard these days anymore, mainly because mental health, and like I learned the hard way that you can only burn the candle at both ends for so long without crashing and burning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just a sucker for pain, right? Like I still romanticize with the struggle of that first year and a half because I just work my face off. But I would kill for that energy and that like just burning desire, like do or die, you know what I mean? Not that I don't have it anymore, but like not to the level.
But not to the same level, right? And you look back and you're like, oh, how can I?
Yeah.
I can't, like, because it's not sustainable. Like,
No.
it's so far from
no.
sustainable. When something's fresh and new, you just find a way, like every minute, right?
That's it.
And you just cut sleep back. You do whatever you need to do, and you still do elements of it, right? But just nowhere near to the same extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And I've got, you know, you become more efficient,
Yeah, that's
smarter
right.
processes to set up. Like you would, you know, you're setting up like a business. You've got to and do everything, you know. And that's where, mate, I guess, and I shit all over my accounting degree, but fuck, I tell you what, mate, having an accounting background when I started a business, and I was like, balance sheets.
That's what this is for.
Accounts payable. I can sync this up with my credit cards and automate all the payments and know how everything works. This is awesome.
I often I undersell that sometimes. Like I look at other people that starting businesses fresh, and I think, shit, you haven't got that. Like, whereas I learned that. You learned some of that as well. It's fundamental to business. A lot of accountants make great business owners for that exact reason. I mean, learning that on the job is tough.
Yeah.
And you don't have time. I mean, you're spending 80 hours a week already doing everything else, let alone trying to figure out what that means. Or I can't imagine not being able to look at a P&L, profit and loss, whatever they call it now. I know it's changed its name, but whatever. I can't imagine not being able to look at that and have an understanding of what's going on. I mean, a lot of business owners fly blind. Yeah. Really, and they just know their craft and they're pushing that along, and that would be intense. Like I thought it's hard enough, right?
Yeah. No, straight up. And I didn't know how to use Xero, like the accounting software that I use, but I worked it out pretty fast, mainly because of the fundamental accounting background that I had. And I remember walking out of my final ever accounting exam. It was, what was it for? I think it was for audit. Oh, I hated that unit. I walked out of that exam and I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm so done. I literally said to myself as I walked out, I was just overcome with euphoria. I was like, I'm never doing accounting ever again. Ever. And then I started my business and I just had to just swallow.
And now I do accounting.
Swallow that. I was like, and then my parents always laugh at me about it. They're like, "Oh, I'm glad you did that accounting degree. Hey, Paul. Hey." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
But dude, Xero is gold. Like I was doing stuff before then, like MyHub and like the more offline versions. Like we had to manually type every damn thing in. Like Xero is incredible. Like
so good.
You don't actually have to do much else. Like it does a lot automatically, and depending on how your business is structured and what goes on, oh man, that's a game changer for small business. Yeah, straight up. It's so good.
Xero's amazing. Plus, you can plug it into a lot of third-party apps. Yeah. I plug mine into Invoice Sherpa to collect invoices. Then I've got all my, the business, everything. I run my business. Everything in my business is run through expenses, run through credit cards. Yep. And then everything's just the bank feeds are dripped in automatically. Yeah. And then the Xero learns how to classify transactions. If you've got repeating transactions,
it's so good.
It's just done, and then my bookkeeper takes care of the rest.
Click. That's it. And it used to be so much more brutal. Like even just the automatic transactions. Yeah, used to come through. Your bookkeeper would type one mistake, and then you'd be spending hours trying to find that sense change. Straight up. And now it's just auto. It's in there. It's just incredible. It changes everyone's life, I think.
That's it. Plus with source transactions, I'm getting technical, but with source documents, if I make a bit, let's say I'm out for a coffee or I make whatever a business expense, and you've got to take the photo of the receipt. I literally just upload it to my Xero app in my phone, and then my bookkeeper syncs that up with the transaction, my credit card. Yeah. Done.
Yeah, it's so good. Love it. Anyway, I could probably talk about that for a while, but which is ironic.
That's helpful. I mean, people listening, if you don't know, you don't know.
No, you don't. I
always like sharing.
Yeah, it's so good. I don't like really talking about accounting very much, but that's one thing I do talk about.
Here we are. Here I am. Let's talk about some accounting.
So awesome. So anyway, Ramondo Media. We know where you're at now. I won't go any further. But so, flipping into digital marketing at the moment, what do you think that businesses? What's one of the key things you see them doing wrong at the moment?
So many things. Okay. Misunderstanding the platform in which they're telling a story on. Yeah. And this a lot of what I'm trying to think of new things that aren't just the normal kind of stereotypical answers to this question, but disrespecting the platform in which you're running content on the platform incorrectly. If you want to go more micro into that, not understanding the subtle nuances between how you communicate in different platforms. If you're running stuff on Facebook, for example, you can't be running content with more than 20% text in the ads. If you are, and if you're paying for it, you're just wasting money because your reach is going to get decreased, and you're going to pay more money for it. And that hurts me because I'm you could get so much more reach and get so many more leads or whatever your overarching goal is at a lower cost if you just did it right. Those are Facebook ads. My jam. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Just not because it's I'm elitist. I'm no, you're doing it wrong. My way is the right way. It's literally just
it's ROI, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to ROI.
Money and it hurts, especially with small businesses. It's fuck. You don't know what you don't know.
No, that's probably the biggest not concern, but that's the hardest part, right? That you don't know, and they don't know typically, and so you see it happening, and you see epic amounts of money clearly being wasted, and you sort of go, oh, that you could just do so much more and reach so much further with that. So
that and more technically, not doing your basic like having no data hygiene, right? Like not doing conversion tracking, not setting your pixels up correctly, or setting them up at all, not doing UTM tagging with your with all your links. Like if you're spending money, and especially for e-commerce, even if it's just leads, like you really should be tracking how much it's costing you to generate those leads and knowing what your return is. Which is one of the great things about digital as well, is you can track everything.
You can.
You know, it's not based off Nelson's metric reporting on, I just stood here and there's about 10,000 people that see this ad space at this time. Cool. There's your CPM. Away you go.
I know, which is still seen as almost superior in many ways, but it's just, that's
I mean,
right.
they all have their place. They
do.
But the granularity and the fact that anyone can play and have a really winning shot. You don't need $5,000 to $10,000 to run a wicked billboard.
No.
To generate you some leads. Like you can spend $200 and
you just got to do the work. That's the problem. There's work in it, right? And I don't even mean epic. You just got to think about it. You got to logically go through the steps, because most of it, there's a lot of common sense in all of it, right? And you can understand. And even when people backlash a lot, when Facebook changes this or that, like, hang on, think about it.
Yeah.
Think about what they're doing and why.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You actually want them to implement these difficult changes at times, because it means it's the longevity of the platform.
That's it.
It's giving the users what they want, which in turn allows you to communicate with them.
That's
there,
it.
right? That's the thing. And this complaining business doesn't work. It's just keep
adapt.
adjusting, just keep adapting, right?
Adapt or die. And the other thing as well, I'll say on that is, I think this is my not biggest pet peeve, but I guess frustration is just unless you are your target market, you're not your target market.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't emotionally attach, as a business owner, you can't emotionally attach your perceived benefits or your attitude or your emotions to whatever it is that you're selling, because you're more likely than not your target market. So what you may think may not be good, because that's your frame on it, may actually be perfect for who your target audience is, and vice versa.
And sometimes you just don't know, right?
That's why
sometimes
you think
you think you're putting out the best piece of content, and then no one will touch it, and then vice versa. Something like you think, oh, okay, that's not what we really wanted to get out there. You put it out there, people engage. It's you can't. The beauty of it is there's all the data, it's all there,
That's it.
and you can really dig as deep as you want.
That's it.
Into it all, and that's a bit that I think just throws people, as they just get overwhelmed with the marketing 101 stuff that we were taught, 5 years ago, that was taught 20 years ago. You just got to match that stuff with all the new tools and techniques and tactics.
100%.
People, I think they think all that history is gone. It's still there.
Yeah,
Ogilvy's still there. It's all real. It's just that you got to think about, applying it to these different mediums.
Yeah, same shit, different platform.
That's it.
Right.
Whether it's a newspaper or whatever, 50 years ago, it's the same as Facebook. You just got to figure it out. So try and test, right? Because you never know.
And also on that as well, like I spend a bunch of time designing really sexy ads or creating really awesome micro content. I'm like, this is so sick. This is going to do so well. And then I'll split test it, A/B test, like one version versus another, or I go super granular, so I'll probably do 4 or 5, but I'm weird. Nerd life. And then the shittest piece of content, in my opinion, I'm always humbling myself every single day. I'm like, this is going to be so sick. And then the shittest piece of content, or the shittest ad, or the shittest copy, or the shittiest headline is one that converts the best. And I'm like, well, data's king. I'm wrong again.
The amount of head shakes that we do in here as well.
Yeah.
Just like, really? Yeah. Is that what happened? And but I find, you just that's the beauty of it. Imagine doing this 50 years ago, where you didn't have those numbers and you couldn't really track. Like, you just wouldn't know, and egos would override, because 100%. They would be like, no, I'm right.
That's it.
And it's like, well, they've got no data to prove it, apart from a few people filling out some information, which just doesn't give you any real result. But cool. So, where are you going? Where's the business going in the next 5 years? What's the vision for you? Are you staying in Perth? Are you moving on? Are you where does Ramondo Media look? What does it look like in 5 years?
That's a really good question, and it's so I've always been like must set all my goals and must set all my SMART goals and achieve them. And this year, for the first time, I just, like I was mentioned before, like burden by choice, right? There's so many things that I want to do and could do, and so many places that I want to live and stuff that I want to do. That, what's it today? It's the 23rd of January, and Paul Ramondo still hasn't done his goal planning for the rest of the year. It's on the list still. By the end of January, I'll get it done. That's the goal at the moment. Get my goal planning done by the end of the year, or end of this you know what I'm trying to say. I digress. I'm getting anxiety just thinking
It's
about
all right.
it.
You'll get it done. Don't worry. I'm actually in a similar boat. I'm about 80% through it, but I've got a lot of anxiety because I'm like, hang on, January's nearly done.
Yeah.
And we normally sit down. Like I sit down with my wife. We go through it all. We actually do a lot of planning.
That's awesome.
But not having it finished is eating at me. So don't worry, you will get it done.
Yeah, no,
because that's who you are.
Yeah, straight up. Thank you. I appreciate that, Matt. But yeah, so I think the biggest, and I've already started working on this, the biggest goal for me this year is do a lot more speaking.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite things that I get to do. So yeah, doing a lot more speaking, speak a lot more conferences. That makes sense. Yep. Need some caffeine. Yeah, speaking a lot more conferences. Want to relaunch my online course, Funnels 101. Quick plug, anyone? No. Do that, and I think if I can muster up the time, I want to build a Facebook ads course as well, which would be sick. And then in terms of Ramondo Media, I want to start. For the longest amount of time, I haven't really wanted to build an agency, and now I'm kind of at the point where I don't particularly want to build an agency in the traditional model of building an agency, but I would really love to have an awesome team around me. So I can create way more content, which is my favorite thing to do. Do way more vlogs, become more of an influencer online in the digital marketing space. Because at the moment, it's just what's the word?
Trying to stuff something big.
No. It's a bottleneck. That's it. I've got all this stuff that I want to do. I just don't have which is my own fault, which is totally fine. But I just don't have the internal resources to be able to do it. So this year, the goal is to make absolutely no money and just reinvest it just all into the business and build a team, build a wicked culture. When I come to work, just like, what's up? Let's hang out. Let's all nerd out and just like, oh look, split test this and that's a shit ad and that kind of vibe.
Makes a difference, man. Like just changes everything like about the workplace. If you can just have a bit of fun there and some good people,
that's it.
Just figure it out together. That's it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of the kind of loose goal at the moment. And also do a lot more vlogging. That's which is really time heavy.
Well, it does lead into my next question.
Yeah, I thought there'd be a little bridge there.
So it looks pretty easy, right? Like, I'm sure it already takes you 5-10 minutes to put a vlog together.
Yeah, just use a little app on my phone and done. Just away you go. Yeah, it's not weird talking to yourself with a big camera in public. Not weird at all.
But try having a guy walk around with you like as if I'm Brad Pitt or something.
Yo, that's so much easier though. Like people, it's all in your own head as well, and people are going to look at you like you're an idiot regardless, because it's a weird thing to do, right? I didn't vlog today because I was running late, but if you see my camera, it's like on this big, Gorilla Pod stick, and it's a big camera.
You carry a big camera. I mean, like if I'm ever doing anything, it's this little guy. Yeah, but you've got a serious.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as big as that one. No. That is a beast. Like that is goals right there. I could imagine vlogging on that. It'd be so dope. Oh. Andrew's got the goods. But yeah, no, it's I can't even remember what I was talking about. I got distracted talking about how big Andrew's camera is. I'm completely. You're gonna have to bring me back on. I'm off. What was we talking about?
No, we were talking about. I was saying it looked pretty easy.
It's the thing is though, like it's creatively, it's really challenging. And I love telling stories. And I love learning new things. And I found that I find that if I'm not learning or if I don't get to create something in a day, then I don't really have much fulfillment. It sounds weird. I don't really get much fulfillment from that day because I haven't created something, or if I haven't learned something new and something that I'm interested in. Then I feel like it's not a waste of a day, but I just feel like, that was could have done better that day.
But when you're in sorry to cut you off, but when you're in that zone, that's where you chew time. Because you're so interested in it. And then you'll burn like way too many hours on trying to figure that out or something out that I vlog a little bit, not much. Obviously, get some help. It gets cut up. It's nowhere near as complex as what I see you put out, right? And I'm looking at it going, wow. Like, and I know you do at least the bulk of it yourself, if not all of it. I think.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
All of
so
it. Unless I'm getting someone to help me film. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry,
that's
go on.
Right. Yeah, so I'm looking at it going, I can see the time because I get it, and then especially if you're learning elements as you go.
Well, that's
which
it.
is great, but like, wow, like the time suck is huge.
And I didn't know how to do any of it. At all. I started vlogging in February last year. I'd been down the YouTube route. I love YouTube. But I was down the YouTube rabbit hole like hard. And I was like, I really want to do this. And then it'd be really cool to do for my personal brand, but also be really cool to just as a creative outlet for me beyond everything else that I do. I had the Adobe Creative Suite just because Photoshop and Illustrator for designing ads, and basically just taught myself how to film and how to edit and how to color grade and how to do effects. And I made it my goal and it was, the first episode, I look back at that. I look at the first episode, not to toot my own horn, but I had never done any of it before, right? Except the animation, to throw back to the earlier conversation. Like, I understand how timelines worked and, that kind of thing. And I watched a bunch of tutorials on YouTube in terms of storytelling. But apart from that, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm flying blind, right? Yeah. And that first edit would have been like 35 hours worth, right? Like, it's crazy. But I had so much fun doing it. Yeah. And I was like, cool, next vlog, I'll learn a new skill. And next vlog of that, I'll do something new. And then every single vlog, I just try to outdo myself. And at the same time, for anyone wanting to start a vlog, at the same time, I'm templating every single vlog as a templated iteration of the previous vlog. Yep. So things get your workflow gets faster and faster and faster and faster because you've got all these templated sequences. You've got a templated intro, you've got templated pop tags, like sound effects, all that kind of stuff. So now my workflow in terms of idea, filming, upload, edit, render, it's just way faster. Yep. And going back to what I was saying before, it's way easier. I find it way easier vlogging in public or just vlogging in general when I don't have to think about it. Yeah. Because when you're selfie vlogging, there's so much other stuff going on. You're like, okay, what's the story? What's the purpose of this content? How's this scene fitting into the story that I'm trying to tell? Because if you don't plan, in my experience, if you don't plan the story out, it makes your edit times take so much longer. Because I've done days where I filmed so much content and there's so much gold, but then you have to go through and watch 5 hours worth of your own content. And even if you're doing it on 4 times speed, it's like, it's a mind fuck. It's so, and you get nothing done. And then you're just like, I've wasted so much time. Anyway, I digress. But if you have a story or if you have someone filming you, I find it a lot easier because they're focusing on making it look sexy and making sure you're in focus. And then you can just focus on telling the story.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I mean, that's why I couldn't do what you're doing. Like, I mean, I could, but I just finding that time, like certainly I'd love to learn a bit more how to edit, do those sort of things, but there's no time right now to do that. 100%. Although the creativity and like you talk about, I'd love to just jump down the rabbit hole there and figure some of that stuff out. And I've done that type of thing, throughout my life when I've got interested in something, right? Just figure it out. And that's, I think, what a lot of business owners do as well, right?
And within that, I learned a really great lesson. Like I had to have part of my, I didn't have the intervention with myself. It was kind of, that's why masterminds are great, right? So I'm only part of one mastermind. The mastermind that I'm part of, a bunch of great dudes. Shout out to the SEM mastermind. Basically, one of the, my colleagues or peers in that mastermind group was saying how he was prioritizing fun work, a la vlogging, and adding the same amount of deadline and importance to as what all your other work is, right? Yeah. Except like you're just tricking yourself because it's not ROI positive. One, it's more of a hobby if you're really honest with yourself. It's like I've got like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Back then it was like I had 300 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm making I got AdSense today, but like $300 from Google AdSense from all my websites plus my pre-roll and mid-roll, Like it's not ROI positive. It's a hobby, Paul. It's a hobby. So he was talking about that, and I was like, oh shit. Yep. I'm spending the Saturday, and it's Saturday, so that's fine. But I'll spend my Saturdays editing, and then Tuesday morning 6 hours on Tuesday morning, and then cutting up micro content, and then I'm like, what? It's like 18 hours, and it's fun as fuck, but it's. Paul, you got a business to run, bro. Like, what are you doing? So that's kind of why I pulled back a lot with the vlogs last year, even though I really want to get one out every week. Because I saw that. Yeah, and that's why there hasn't been one out this year yet, because I can't even get my goal planning done, let alone like trying to do a vlog every week, which is one of the goals that's going to be on my list. But yeah, it's finding that fine line, and having the discipline, right? Yeah. Having the discipline to be like, okay, this is fun. So if you want to do it, this is coming out of your fun time. No Netflix for you. You want to edit videos? You can edit videos. One or the other. Can't be both.
It's a super point. And I think, my next sort of question was to you, and we'll sort of get into this, how has it driven results for your business? And I like, certainly the podcast and some of the video work we've done has been useful, certainly at a branding level. And I believe it's super ROI positive, but I believe it can't be measured yet. And I think it's like over time in particular. But like, how do you perceive that then? Because I agree in some ways it is a hobby. However, I think it does drive some level of business results. It depends what you're doing. Yeah. But the ROI, the data's not there in a lot of ways. Like, because the data you get is great, but it's around engagement and other things. Like there's some lead generation can come from it, but a lot of it, someone might have just heard about you, they consume some content, and then that's why they've then got the, you've built that key person in the marketplace from that. They're like, wow, you're an influencer. Great. Yeah, cool. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You can't match that up sometimes.
Yeah.
You really just can't do that. And so what do you think it's done for your brand?
Yeah.
Vlogging. And would you recommend it to people?
It's both. All right. Good questions. No measurable ROI. I mean, if I was to tangibly measure the return on investment, it would be in the negative 10,000%.
Because of the time that you put in and the money you spent on equipment and everything else.
Straight up, I've spent and again, hobby, right? And it's how you look at it. Like if I was to granularly look at it as a business, micro business within inside my business, I'd probably lost it's negative, probably not even, no hyperbole, like negative 15,000%. Like in terms of time, you apportion a value into your time. How much money could I make, or how much could I charge out of billable hours of client work could I have gotten in return for that? Keep in mind, I'm turning away a lot of leads because I just don't have the capacity to take on new business. And also, I want to be able to have to spend time vlogging, right? So, but that's like a personal choice and whatever, about the emotional utility that we're talking about earlier. But yeah, if I was to think of the return on investment, like I said, $300 worth of AdSense last quarter. Actually running Facebook ads, retargeting Facebook-oriented vlogs that I've done, and retargeting cold members of my audience that have only just seen one Facebook vlog with one of my ebooks. It's like $6.99 US, which works out to be, depending on the exchange rate, $8, $9, $10 Australian. Making it wicked, in that small, if you just look at that, under the lens, making a decent return on investment, making $10 on $2 ad spend, not bad. But come on, it's not an ROI positive thing. But however, in terms of equity in my brand, I know that it definitely nurtures equity in my brand. Beyond all of the warm and fuzzies, and I enjoy doing it. It makes me feel good. In terms of equity, it builds a lot of equity in the nurture. If you think about it from a funnel perspective, from the nurture part of your funnel. You've got people coming in through to your website, whether you're running Facebook ads or Google AdWords or SEO, however they get into your website, and then you're retargeting them with either on Facebook with your vlog, relative, and the vlog content being relative to the specific pages they've viewed on your website. Your equity and authority goes up a lot higher, a lot higher than any other, person you're competing against. And then it comes down to how good's your content, and then that's the variable of your success. But the joke for me is I'm not doing any of it to generate leads at all. Oh cool, I want to do some ebook sales. Only reason I'm doing that is I want to work out what works, because I'm just a nerd for data, because I'm I can use that lessons that I learn on my brand and then apply it to my clients and get them wicked results, right? So for me, it's just all passion and fun at this point in time. Long term, there'll be some other stuff going on, but vlogging specifically for me from a return on investment point of view, I mean, I would love to be a full-time YouTuber. That'd be sick.
That would be sick.
Get a silver play button, work my way up to a gold one.
Shout out Casey.
Yeah, what up, Casey?
Australia's Casey.
I fucking love Casey.
Casey Neistat, everyone.
My hero.
But brilliant, right?
He's just the best.
The creative, just
the best.
Obviously we're both Gary Vee fans, and what Gary's is amazing, but Casey's got the creativity. He puts just the amount of effort that goes. So shout out D-Rock, et cetera, Babin, who also put a lot of effort into their, into what goes out for Gary. But Casey just is more creation, and then really just builds some amazing stuff. And you're more down that line. I can see you wanting to just create just amazing 100%. Videos over and over.
And
but a full-time YouTuber would be nice.
Oh, it would be really, really sick. To answer the second part of your question, would you recommend doing it? 100%. Especially if you've got a specific goal behind it. Video content's amazing. And it doesn't have to be as wanky as my content is. I spend a lot of time on it, like I said before, because I enjoy doing it. It's fun to do. But it doesn't have to be a work of art. I'm not saying my stuff's a work of art at all. There's a lot that I could improve on. But have you seen the selfie camera in these things? The iPhone 10s? They're amazing. They're so good. And the 4K on the back end, you've got, this is just, so many people preach about this, but if you want to create video content for your business, or you want to vlog, pick up your cell phone and just start doing it.
You just got to, because you got to start there. And that's the thing I like, but I guess both of us know, okay, it's easy to say, very, very hard to do. Even actually, if you're quite passionate about it and you really want to get it done.
Oh, it's weird. It's not natural.
It's not natural. And you've got to break through it.
And I've been vlogging for a year now, right? And before that, I was doing daily stuff on like daily digital marketing tips on Snapchat, like super meta.
Yeah, I remember
like,
those.
Yeah, thank you. You watch them. That's my boy.
Yeah.
I love that. So that like doing stuff on Snapchat initially, that was what allowed me to kind of get comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I went back in my archives like middle of last year, and I found one of the first ever Facebook or like social media marketing videos that I did. This is before I started my business, and it's just cringeworthy to the extreme. I'm like, who is this dickhead? I just couldn't I made myself watch it. It's like, look how far you've come. Be proud of yourself. But it just reminded me, like, everyone starts somewhere. If it's not going to be perfect, like you just got to keep doing it. And I haven't vlogged in about a month now, and I tried to do an intro because I was going to film a vlog for today because I was like, I need to get back on the vlog wagon, and like nothing, just shooting blanks. Like, what am I talking about? I'm getting weird. I'm just by myself in my studio, getting weird in front of the camera. I'm like,
I feel it. No, I get it. The minute you don't do it for a little while, and you're like, whoa, because it's not natural unless you've done a lot of it, right? But the really crazy thing about, and I'm holding a phone up for those listening, it doesn't go live. Like, you can film hours and hours and practice and do whatever you like, but people are just so fearful of it, you know. I think, and myself included at some point, but I was driven to do it. I just knew I wanted to. It was like, and there was something I just had to overcome it. It was something I wanted, and certainly like this is another medium, podcasting, where we're creating some audio now. There's also video going on and all that, but it's you have to. I love it. We've been talking for a long time, and we'll probably talk a bit longer.
We're gonna keep going. Let's go deeper.
A lot of people do 15-minute podcasts. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, get your point out, do what you need to do. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge time suck, and it doesn't have to be like as deep. Like, your vlogs are great, man. You put a lot of effort into. I can really see that. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, I don't have the time to even move towards that zone. You know what I mean? I can see some of the planning in there. Yeah. Not there, but like I'm happy that we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. And there was a level earlier on that it was even worse. And but you've got to start, otherwise you're never going to get up there, right? You've got to get there somewhere. So, but if anyone listening,
doing 1 minute, like 1 to 2 minute pieces of micro content for Facebook, like
and you can
square
really
1080
do it
by 1080, like whatever your field is, like your insurance broker.
Yeah,
cool.
and don't even intro and outro. Just don't make it hard,
or just make it utility. Like you don't even make it entertaining. Just make it utility, and people be interested. We're providing value.
We overcomplicate it.
We do.
We need. Oh, but I can't do it. I haven't got the expensive gear.
Oh yeah. No, I've been down that rabbit hole. Let me tell you, like, well, it's fun. Having nice gear is fun, but like that was a big little. That's one of the reasons that stopped me from, like, before I started vlogging properly in February last year. I tried to start vlogging in the July the year before, and I'd started it. That was even worse. But like. I just slowly work myself up to it. And just keep in mind that when you get in front of the camera, it's not a natural thing. No. It's weird.
You got
to try until you get comfortable. Even like me on camera, like, I mean, we know each other, in real life, and I always try to be as authentic as I can when in front of the camera, or even on a podcast or whatever. I'm just being me at the moment. But
there's still cameras on us.
Yeah, there's still cameras, but it's not like, hey, what's up? It's Paul Ramondo. What's Dolce? Rah rah. Like I play a caricature of myself, and that's very much on purpose, because you need to make stuff engaging, and if I want people to like actually watch my content all the way through and build an audience, like. I'm going to be a bit more. I'm pretty eccentric regardless, but I turn up my volume, my personality to 12 out of 10 as opposed to 10.
And doesn't make it inauthentic, right? That's the thing. It's still authentic. Yeah. Like, it's definitely anyone that knows you. It is you.
Yeah, it is me. It's just me, you. Way more hectic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hectic's the right word for it.
Yeah,
that's it. Which is pretty good, because I'm going to leads into my next question. So,
perfect. Where
where does that inner drive come from? I mean, you are pretty hectic.
Old man Ramondo.
Okay.
Old man Ramondo. Mum and dad. My parents are the best. Everything it all comes back from mum and dad. They taught me the value of, if you want something, you go fucking work for it. I never, like, mum and dad always met me halfway with everything, but they just did the best job. I just love them so much. They taught me the value of, like, working hard and work ethic, and also taking responsibilities for your mistakes. Like, I worked at a bakery for 10 years. This is funny. So I worked at a bakery for 10 years. Every single weekend and after school, up until I started my career in social. And the reason I started working at the bakery when I was 13 was because I wanted to buy a laptop. And I worked at that bakery every Sunday, earning sweet fuck all. It gave me some stripes, I'll tell you what.
This is channeling my childhood,
I'll tell
you what.
And I just wanted this laptop, and I bought the most, it was 2014 I bought this laptop, right? 2004 I bought this laptop. I'm like, end of 2004, it's like 14, And I bought this laptop. It was like $2,600. Bought it from Rick Hart, which doesn't exist anymore. And this thing was just, it was a beast. So much of a beast that it didn't even have an internal wireless card. Like you had to buy $65 extra, to get an external wireless card to put it into the laptop. Now, that was my driving motivation. And I was like, Mum, Dad, I want a really good laptop. I want a really good computer. And they're like, cool, go get a job, mate. And I was like, no. They're like, well, if you don't, cool, don't look for us. You can either go get a job, or you can save up until you're pretty much ready to buy a car, and then you can get your laptop. So what's it going to be? And I'm like, all right, I'll get a job. And then I remember I got the job, work, and I'd saved about $400 or $500, most money I'd ever made in my life, after working there for like 6 months or whatever, every single weekend. And then I'm really uncoordinated. And then I kicked a football into my auntie's windshield. Bye-bye, $250, $300 on the excess on that one. Of course I had to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I still remember that because, I was like, fuck, oh, God, oh, what? And Dad was like, cool, go get the money. You're paying for that one, mate. And I was just like, he was just disappointed. Not disappointed in me. He was just disappointed that I had done that for me. You know what I mean? But, I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned about taking responsibility. And then that made me want to work even harder, because I was like, I want this laptop. And I think that's where it all came from. Plus probably the Italian heritage as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good answer. Because you do, right? You're always buzzing. You're full of energy. Like you're driven, and I love that. I love hanging around. People.
I appreciate that. Thank
pumping
you.
along, always wanting to do stuff, because that's what,
It's fun though, right?
My problem is not ever. When's the last time you said you were bored?
Mate, I wish I had the luxury of being like, I'm so bored.
So bored. It's just not possible.
Right?
There's that many things I want to cram in. I mean, you're not in that zone, but I've got 2 kids as well, and it's
I take my hat off to you,
just
mate. Holy. I can't imagine having kids and trying to do what I do. Hat off to you,
if there was 48 hours in a day, I'd still be looking for more time to pack other stuff in, and that's the thing. But but you need to have that drive, right? You need to be just like, life's fun. Let's do this. Let's fill it full of stuff.
That's it. If you don't have the drive, my biggest thing when people are like, oh, how do you get why are you so motivated? How do you get the motivation?
Motivated?
Yeah, straight up. And again, I tell them the story about my parents, but at the end of the day, I've got crazy big goals that I'm trying to achieve. And spoiler alert, long-term politics, but it's a whole nother can of worms. That's what I'm striving for. And that just puts the macro goals, puts everything in the micro, just makes life's really, really, really short. And for anyone that's not driven or lacking motivation or can't figure out what it is they want to do, go work a really shitty job, at a bakery, like I did for 10 years. Save up a bunch of money, and then go on a big old YOLO of a holiday around the world and travel for as long as you can until you figure out what it is you want to fucking do. Because that's what, the trip that I had to bring this full circle, spending a year abroad in the States was probably one of the best experience that I ever had, because it was so humbling. It put me out of my comfort zone. It taught me so much about myself and what I wanted from life and all that kind of fun stuff. And when I came home and I, had to finish my degree, I was ready to I don't want to be an accountant. I'm going to try this marketing thing out. And here I am.
And here you are. So, and we just talked about it, you got a lot on, right? How do you structure your week? You've got a lot of stuff you want to pack in. You've got different priorities, obviously vlogs, clients, different levels. Where do you set yourself pretty structured week plans, or how do you approach things?
Yep. So this is something that I'm actually really struggling with at the moment. Going back to hair in my mouth. Going back to the start of the business, I was the most structured. Everything was planned out. The tasks for tomorrow were, time allocated. I knew what I had to do, when I had to do it, what phone calls I had to have, how long they're allowed to last for, when my breaks were, all that everything was so granular. And I impressed myself with how structured I used to be, right? And I say that because at the moment, going back to not being any goals planned for this year, I'm just floating all over the place at the moment. I'm getting everything done, but it's not structured. Things could be done a lot more effectively. Yeah. Just floating around. So I guess this is something I'm working on at the moment. So going back to having that structure, having a time allocated, and also having a routine. I think one of the biggest things, especially the Christmas, late December, early January is a really always bad time of year for me. Not personally, but I guess in terms of my work life, because structure goes out the window because you've got and that's fine. Yeah, straight up. And family and all that kind of stuff, and that's all great. And I'm also I'd rather just work it all, but gotta take time out. But what that does for me in terms of my like work routine, it throws me out, and I'm just not in routine at the moment. So going back to like, I'm trying as of next week, or trying to start tomorrow, routine structured start times and finish times. And it's a lot easier to not have that structure when you run your own business. Cause like, especially when you don't like, you know, I've got a staff member now and I've got a bunch of contractors, but you know, I can start work at home. I don't have to be at the office, you know, like I run my own business, I can do what I want, but you give yourself that freedom and that kind of just do whatever you want, not do whatever you want, but I can do whatever you want, whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah.
And then
It's
everything
way more responsibility.
Oh yeah. Everything starts to fall apart because you get out of that routine. You don't have a structured start time, a structured finish time. Another thing as well that that I've been reminded of lately is Parkinson's law. You know what Parkinson's law is? So those who don't know, Parkinson's law is basically where a task will either expand or shrink to fit the allocated time which you give it, right? And just think about it like, you know, like actually I'm not going to give an example, but essentially that's what it is, right? And I've noticed because I haven't been allocating time to all of my or structuring my days correctly and just been kind of a bit all over the place recently, things are taking way too long, mate. And I sit back and I audit myself and I go through, you know, like I'm doing the 5-minute journal, using the 5-minute journal app at the moment, which is amazing. It's like best $5 I've ever spent. But to, you know, what am I grateful for and what I hope to achieve today? And then I'm looking back at, you know, you go down, like you were saying before, you can go down these rabbit holes. And it's like, I should not have spent an hour and a half of my time, like I did today, trying to fix up some dev. And, you know, I'm not a developer, but I spent an hour and a half of my time, which I shouldn't have, fixing up dev stuff on my website. And, you know, you get in the hole, you're like, oh, I'm going to fix this. And it's like, I will not stop until it's done. And then you waste, you know, an hour and a half of your time. And then it's like, well, it's an hour and a half of billable client time you now have to catch up on. You idiot. So discipline, structure, and allocating the time. And I think when you allocate the time, I'm ranting now, I'm sorry, but when you allocate that time, it doesn't allow you to have task creep. Yeah. Because it doesn't, no, I'll just do this. I'll see if I can do this. I'll spend 5 more minutes on it. And then, because if you've got that, it's like, 2 p.m. you've got a meeting, or 2 p.m. you've got to start working on this, because that's going to take an hour, and then you've got to be out of the office by 5. And then you've got to go to the gym, and then you've got to go home and have some time to chill out.
It's just so easy to fall out of, right? I have the same struggle, like in and out. Like at times I've been amazingly disciplined in my week. I still keep certain disciplines, but like, you're right. You might have a 3-hour block and there's a couple of things you try and do. You realize 2.5 hours in, you've barely finished that first thing. And you've probably got distracted a couple of times, but like the minute you really allocate tight blocks, you often achieve them. If not, you're busting through other tasks. And if you take that 5-10 minutes even at the start of the day just to really plan out what's going to happen. That's it. Like I try and write out my goals. End of the day as well. End of the day's good, yeah. End of the day's really good as well. And try and plan out what happens, you know, what you want to happen and what... The 5-minute journal is brilliant too, just as a bit of a, you know, what happens thereafter. Something that's cool that myself and some other guys have done. You've talked about Ryan Holiday, the Daily Stoic.
Daily Stoic's amazing. Ryan Holiday is my Holiday is my inner god.
Put the two together, carry them around, and do Daily Stoic, and then do your journal, and just like follow that through. You just carry them as 2 books. And there's a few of us that have done that, and it's really cool because you always get that reflection. It then leads in, and you then start doing a bit of journaling. And it's really cool.
I like that.
So check that out.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's my new best friend. That's awesome.
That's really cool. A mate of mine started that one, and a few of us do it now. It's really cool. So the timing, right? We have so much time, and like especially I think when we get really excited with a lot of stuff, which like you and I both do, it's easy just to get like pulled between all those things. But if you do break it down, you really can get a lot done, right? If you really structure.
And you've got to curb that excitement, not curb it. Like you need the excitement and passion, the fire.
Harness it.
You need to like use it effectively. Yeah. And I've been like, I think the reason I'm so like off, off track at the moment with my structure and time is because, like I was mentioning earlier, like I burnt out really badly earlier last year, and it's what we're in 2018 now? End of 2016, I burnt out bad. Bad. Don't recommend burning out bad. And then I got into
do you mind, what happened there? What do you...
Oh, just like... All right. So basically just worked myself into a hole. There's only so much you can take, right? Like there's only like... I was doing 80-hour work weeks for a year and a bit with a few weeks off. Minimum 60 hours a week. Maximum, I think, and I was like... I timed all of it because I was like, oh, we'll get my stripes. Love the pain. Sadistic fuck, Paul. So, I mean, some weeks, no hyperbole, I was doing like 90 plus hours, right? But I needed to, and I wanted to. I didn't really need to, I wanted to, right? And then there's only so much that you can do, so long you can do that for. And I got older. I mean, this is when I was 25, I'm 28 this year, but yeah, I just burnt out. Then got really bad insomnia. Couldn't sleep properly. Wasn't eating properly. Stopped going to the gym. Just everything that like allowed me to function at that level just started crumbling away because I wasn't taking care of my physical health. And then my mental health like suffered as a byproduct of that. Yeah, learned the lesson the hard way. But I think I've kind of seesawed back to having all this structure, and now it's just like, well, I'm just going to chill and see how chill I can have not have too much structure and see how relaxed I can be, and it's find that balance. All about the balance, Matt.
Yeah, it's sick. Sorry, just making sure that's off. Nah, look, it's common, right? And I've been through some struggles as well over times, and I just like, there's this hustle thing, and we could dig into that a little bit, but like everything with a grain of salt. Like, yes, you got to hustle, yes, you got to do extra stuff, but also you've got to look after yourself, and that's why I sort of go into the structure of the week, because I like to show people, like, if I like to think that this podcast is pulling out people's stories for people that are feeling a bit lonely early on in their business days, that don't have the networks that we're able to build over time, to hear people's stories and go, you know what, that's where I'm at too.
That's it.
There is,
and on that, sorry to cut you off, on that, like, I'm fucking woo all the time, energy, but like a lot of what you don't see behind the scenes is me just like, especially when I was struggling with my insomnia, like, I'll tell you what, not being able to sleep when you've got to like work and hustle the next day, and just not sleeping and just seeing like just disgusting black bags under your eyes and not having any energy to do anything, and then going down the caffeine abuse and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah. It's not fun. And the irony is, you also, it just sucks in general, but it also, like, you can't get anything done because your productivity's like, you're operating at 25%,
Yeah, you just get worse and worse, right? Every day until you do something about it.
That's it. And for me, it just sometimes for me anyway, it just got to the point where I had to get really, really, really bad before I was able to get better. Yeah.
So this always sort of leads into the question, but what's the one book that you would take into solitary confinement for 1 year?
The Obstacle was The Way by Ryan Holiday.
I knew it was going to be Holiday, and I thought you might go with the other book.
Right, The Obstacle was The Way by Ryan Holiday. Yeah. I'm literally, I hate reading. I hate reading. I have to read during the day. Always had a reading. Yep. And audiobooks are my jam. Audible subscription, love it. I've probably the fourth or the fifth time that I've listened in the past year that I'm listening to The Obstacle was The Way by Ryan Holiday. Yeah, either that or Ego is the Enemy. One of the two.
I'll have to go back and listen. I think I listened to them both. Yeah. They're Audible as well. And that was probably about 12 months ago now, and it's probably really good. There's a few books that you'll come back to, right? And you'll be like, you know what, I need to actually continue to do that. The other massive one for us is The Alchemist. There's a bunch of guys that check that out.
I will.
It's fiction, it's a story. Yeah. It's about effectively a boy called Santiago and following his personal legend, or following where he's supposed to be, his journey. Yeah, and it's really cool. Awesome. They're a really cool book as well. But
that's a good question. I like that question.
Yeah, so that's...
Depends how long I'm in prison for, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well...
I'm still Ryan Holiday, but, like, can I take his whole collection in? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, one of the answers I had the other day was comic books. I'll take some comic books in, because that, I need to be cheered up. But I said, I don't know what you've done. I haven't really qualified the question, but, we'll just pretend you just stuck away. But no, Holiday's perfect, man. That's a great book.
Yeah, seriously, check out Holiday. He's
amazing. You'll like this pass. So what's your favourite Disney movie?
Oh, you know what? I don't like Disney at all.
Disney, Pixar, whatever.
Or like animation. Nah, just never been hot on it. Dragon Ball Z, represent over 9,000, what? But literally
not Mary Poppins.
Nothing. Was never into Disney as a kid. Was into Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and like Beyblades and Digimon and that kind of stuff as like cartoons, but yeah, never got into Disney. Just never vibed.
Really?
Never.
Wow.
And it's not like my parents didn't try to introduce. Like, I'm sure I would have. Yeah, I'm sure I would have watched it as a kid. I have no recollections or fond memories. Like literally, like I tell people that, like I tell women that, don't tell girls that you don't like Disney. Just don't. Just bad.
I'm not. I mean, who doesn't like Disney in some of some variety?
I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. I know it's not a popular opinion. It just never really grabbed me.
It's just I've never had that response.
It's weird. Yeah, weird.
Wow. Like not Lion Kings. Like
I watched Lion King, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I have really short attention span, and I've just never revisited them as an adult. But I'd rather.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why that question came up, being a parent, is I'm now sort of rewatching a bunch of things that I'd sort of forgotten about for many years, and it's like it raises interesting things because the reason why I asked the question is people often identify with a character.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like someone will say The Lion King, and you can sort of see that, and someone will say, oh, Toy Story or whatever, and you can sort of see the characters come out. So it's kind of a cool question to lead into that.
I feel you. Sorry to run your
No.
parade.
Well, yeah, you did anyway. Dragon Ball Z. You sort of told me what your alignment. But yeah, that's.
I'll be out. No, I'm looking forward to eventually when I have kids to go down the Disney rabbit hole again.
Down the path.
But I didn't finish watching Harry Potter and like the series until I was like 25, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just late to the party. I have a lot of really weird niche interests though. Like I could tell you anything about a bunch of different YouTubers that are like insignificant in the big realm of things, just niche interests.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. So what's one weird app or some really interesting app or useful app that you've got on your home screen thereabouts? Like what's something different?
Different. Let's have a look. Business, while I'm trying to find something unique. Things 3. The app, it's like a to-do list on steroids. Love it.
Things 3.
Things 3.
Cool.
And they've got it's like $6.99 or $7.99 in the App Store, and then $79.99 on desktop. But it's baller just in terms of organizing all of your random thoughts. I don't know about you, but I'm done with. I love the I romanticize of being able to like write things out and make it all pretty.
With your what's it called?
iPad, pencil,
whatever.
Pencil.
Like,
pencil, like whatever. Like I like doing things by hand, but then I also like it's not an effective way of note taking, and then using the notes part of my phone was just getting too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that from productivity point of view, the Things 3, 5
Is that what you use for like you're in business, or do you use another software like project management software?
So I use Active Collab for project management.
Yeah. But this is just your like got to get stuff down, like, chuck it in that list kind of thing.
Yeah. So just kind of like if I'm going on like I've just got too much stuff going on in my head and I just need to write it down and tag it, or like add it to like I need to do this one day or next week or whenever. Things 3 is I've only just started using it, but it's amazing from that, as opposed to having random notes in my phone. Also, using the reminder. So I'm all about Siri at the moment, right? So I've got an Apple Watch. I use the reminders function to set up a bunch of different lists and different reminders. And then I use Siri on both like, my Apple TV, my HomePod when it eventually gets released, my phone and my watch. So if I'm like, I need toilet paper, hey Siri, add toilet paper to my shopping list.
Great.
And does that. And
Siri's adding it right now.
Toilet paper to your shopping list.
Right? And then I go to the store and I'm like, hey Siri, what's on my shopping list? And then I'll read out what's on my shopping list. So that's a really nice little, it's doing it now, shut up Siri. That's a nice little productivity hack just in terms of too much stuff going on, get it down in an efficient way. And then another cool app, I don't really have anything on here. My phone's just all business. I love the Qantas app.
Listening, man.
Qantas, here we go. All right, Qantas app. All right, so if you are a Qantas frequent flyer, I'm all about frequent flyer points. If you're a Qantas frequent flyer, and I get so excited, Qantas frequent flyer, and you are a silver frequent flyer, and let's say that you are not flying business, and if you've got the Qantas app on your phone, you can change your seat for free, right? And if you're a silver frequent flyer, with the app on the phone, you can change your seat up to 5 minutes before the departure of your flight, which basically means you can seat choose to get away from other people, because other people suck, especially on a plane. So you can seat choose up until the very end,
right,
or just before you get on the plane. So if the plane fills up, you can just find a seat with this free seat next to you.
Awesome.
Nice little airline
hack.
Good hack. Good hack.
Awesome.
I've worked that out. Last year.
So 5 minutes, right up to the last 5 minutes. So you're boarding, or you're at the gate.
But just before, I think 5 to 10 minutes before. Don't quote me on it, but I was checking it up to 5 to 10 minutes before I got before the boarding opened, essentially. And 5 to 10 minutes before that, you weren't allowed to change it anymore.
Yeah, but by that time, most people should be checked, more or less. So you should be pretty unlucky to get a seat filled next to you. So you go, awesome. Yeah. I like it. Good hack.
Good hack.
Good hack. Cool. All right. My final question, I like to wrap things up with just saying, so what's one thing that people could do, one thing they can get, do to take action to amplify their business? What can they do? What can they get started with? Simple, complex, just what gives them, I guess that first step to changing their business and their life.
I work out what's not working. Right. For me at the moment, my biggest thing is the days aren't structured. My goals planning isn't done. I've just been literally talking about it. That's the biggest thing for me. And I know that by getting all that stuff sorted, all the other dominoes are going to fall.
So
from
you got to put some time aside, right? You got to. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I know a similar thing. Like when you're doing that, you need to put a good few hours away to go. All right, I need to sort this out properly. Yeah. You can't just make a quick 2-second decision. You got to figure it out, right?
So yeah, I think identify what the biggest pain point in your business is.
Yep.
And really, really think about it. Like, why is it causing you pain? Is it a financial pain? Is it an emotional pain? And then just like get real honest with yourself. Why? Why? And then once you answer those questions, you be honest with yourself. I think everything else gets easier. In my experience, that's been the case anyway.
That's it. Nah, awesome. I love it, man.
Thank
you
so much
for coming. So where can people find out about you, Paul? Website, hit us up with the vlog, course.
Let's go plug. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you can see my antics on the interwebs. Just search for Paul Ramondo on YouTube. And my handle and everything is at Paul Ramondo. So PaulRamondo.
Awesome. I
And
love it,
check out the website as well. It's a lot of good utility in there. If I don't
I've seen
say
the
so
new
myself.
site. The new site's great.
Yeah, shout out
people
to
should
Digital
check it
Union
out.
for building that one. There's also I'm not sure when this episode's coming out, but Facebook has just released a bunch of huge changes or planned changes to the newsfeed in terms of how organic reach is going to be affecting pages. I just did an article with Social Media Examiner, which got dropped today. Huge dissemination of what's to expect. So definitely check that out on socialmediaexaminer.com too.
Awesome. Love it, man. Yeah, look, a couple of weeks it'll go out. Just takes a bit of time for us to get
course,
the back end sorted, as you know.
No worries.
But look, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great chat,
Really
man. Like,
Always
really
a
cool.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Good to
really
catch
cool.
up.
We'll do this again, man. This is good fun. Well, we're going to get
Andrew,
these
for filming.
vlogs.
Appreciate it.
Let's get these vlogs colliding at some point as well. I think we should
that'd be
figure
cool.
something out.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
awesome.
Pop tags for days.
Too easy.
Awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks very much. Peace.
Cheers. Hey guys, Matt Hanham here, and I hope you really enjoyed that Amplify Your Business podcast. I thought the episode was really exciting, and I'd love to hear your comments as well. We also have plenty of other episodes, so check us out on the iTunes store.